What is occupational therapy?
Occupational therapists in training learn about how individuals behave, how people behave from birth to old age, what they do, what they need to do, what the sequences of development are, also how they move, and what activities are most meaningful at different stages. Sometimes people, when they hear the term occupational therapy, think that it's related to jobs. And it's, in a very broad sense, it is related to individuals' jobs. A child's job is to learn. And to learn to eat, to learn to play, to learn to communicate. And we look at the child from where he should be developmentally and help provide the parents, teachers, anyone else working with the child, a recommendation for what would be most appropriate for the child to learn next, and then how to help them learn it. So it is a child's job to learn. It's a student's job to learn academic-related skills. Adults have different jobs too. So as occupational therapists, we analyze where an individual is and what this person may or may not need help with.
Are there any misconceptions about your discipline you would like to address in order to clarify your roles and responsibilities?
I think often people become confused with the differences between OT and PT, which stands for physical therapy. In general, there's a lot of overlap in what we do with children, especially young children. A good physical therapist, a good occupational therapist will approach activities and learning and muscles through play. As individuals get older, the physical therapists focus a lot on ambulation or walking. They provide braces, therapy walkers for children and adults, and focus more on the whole gross motor aspect of movement and learning. Occupational therapists are experienced in feeding. Occupational therapists also work with hand use, fine motor skills, helping children learn how to hold a pencil, for example, or developing the strength to use a brailer if they're using braille, using their hands to make discriminations between different textures so that they don't become so tactily sensitive or defensive that they're afraid to touch things, and then that avenue of learning is closed. There are also individuals in schools who are adaptive physical education teachers or adaptive PE, and they work with children at school age, helping them learn how to play with other children, ball skills, how to become part of a team if it's appropriate, if it's developmentally appropriate, and just gross motor skills. So ideally we all work together, but we, from our perspective, disciplinary training and expertise, we do approach children in slightly different ways. OTs, I think, work more with the whole child, every aspect of learning, perhaps than some of the other disciplines do.
What can occupational therapists do for students who are deaf-blind?
Students who are deaf-blind present particular challenges. As children, they do not have the same preparatory experiences that children who are typically developing do, because they don't experience the world in the same way. And often they don't explore things in the way that other children do. When a baby is born, a baby learns to first use his vision to look at and interact with another person and communicate. If a child is blind, the child doesn't have that particular option for learning. They learn through touch, and they also learn through hearing. And as they grow, they develop the ability to experience the world through all their senses. Children who are blind or deaf-blind don't have the same opportunities. They cannot often see or hear things that a typically developing child does. And so they're missing sensory experiences. We learn through our bodies. Everyone does, at all ages of development. And for young children, they learn through touching, they learn through bringing things to their mouth, they learn through hearing something, they get curious, and they go towards that item. Children who are blind or deafblind can't do that in the same way because they often don't know something's there. So it's really important to provide them with the same kinds of sensory activities that other children have, but it has to be planned. Sometimes we, as occupational therapists, we plan what's called a sensory diet for children, where we say, okay, this child doesn't move very much in space. We can help him move, but a child his age or at his developmental level would be, for instance, really crawling over and touching a dog bowl, for instance, and splashing in a dog's water dish. A child who cannot see or doesn't have the ability to do that doesn't do it. Children learn from all their experiences, so we can provide that activity for them. We need not to restrict them too much, but that's very difficult.